Hey guys, it's Maris. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees. So, Happy New Year. It is the beginning of January. We're 5 days into 2020, and that means I am 5 days late on this tag. I was tagged by Maria McWilliams. It's the year-end tag. We're going to talk about books and what got read, what didn't, what's going to be read. And it's pretty short and sweet, so let's get to it. Before we continue, if you like this channel, if you like these videos, please support me by subscribing, following me on Instagram, and liking these videos. Also, I would love to hear from you, so comments are always super welcome. Are there any books this year that you didn't finish? There were a lot of books that I didn't finish, but they're not books that I don't want to read. I just kind of started them but wasn't really in the mood to continue them, but I definitely want to finish them. And these books were Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, House of Prickly Manor by James Herbert, who I keep calling Sherbert, Audrey's Door by Sarah Langan, I think that's how you pronounce her name. The Depraved by Harold Schechter, which is a H.H. Holmes biography. Nosferatu by Joe Hill. Gaslight Nightmares, which is a collection of stories from the Victorian and Edwardian era, edited by Hugh Lamb. I love this cover. It is gorgeous. It was printed in the 1990s. And unfortunately, Hugh Lamb just passed away last year. And actually his family is going to be reprinting some of his books. So I think I might get my hands on some of those. Hugh Lamb was an editor who focused on the supernatural and also mainly in the Victorian and Edwardian era. So he has so many books that he put out and he edited them himself of just ghost stories and the supernatural. So I definitely want to check out more of those. The one story that I did read in here was The Woman with a Candle. And it's kind of like your very typical Victorian ghost story where there's a man, he purchases a house in the countryside, it is haunted by an old woman's ghost, and this ghost then leads the new owner to the body of a woman that had been slain like 20 years prior. So it was pretty good. I did have a nightmare after I read this, which was kind of weird because I can't recall if I've had a time where I had a nightmare after reading a ghost story. It seems so silly and cheesy, and the story wasn't that scary or anything, and it wasn't very like specific to my dream. Like it wasn't like, oh, there was an old woman in my dream with a candle, you know, showing me a body, but it was just it was an auditory dream where I just suddenly woke up and I was sweating and I could just hear this wood being pulled from nails, and it sort of reminded me of like people prying open an old coffin, and it was so excruciatingly loud. But my boyfriend didn't wake up, so I knew it was just some type of like waking dream or something like that. But it was terrifying. I was like terrified, and I couldn't go back to sleep because my heart was pounding so hard. So that was an experience that I wasn't expecting, and I do appreciate it. The last book that I have started but haven't finished is The King in Yellow by Robert Chambers, and I definitely want to read that. I did start reading it, but I just couldn't tell what the hell was going on. It's I won't say it's bizarre, it was just I couldn't understand what was happening. So I think I need to start over from the beginning and just take it slow. I did DNF 2 books this year. One was Hex, who I can't remember the writer's name at the moment, and Devil in the White City. Hex for me was just sort of a confusing book. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I didn't connect with any of the characters, and I just really wasn't believing this story at all, like at all. It was also translated into English from its native language, which I think was Dutch. The locations were all changed to be American locations, and specifically in upstate New York. So since I lived in upstate New York, some of the stuff that they were talking about just didn't make sense. And so that was just adding to a lot of the disbelief for me. But there were a lot of people that really did enjoy the book. For me, it just didn't work. And then there was Devil in the White City. What its main desire to do is to rebuild Chicago for you at the time of when the World's Fair is being built. And it's giving you all of this like background information about how the World's Fair was resurrected. the materials, the architects, the politicians, and all of the stuff that goes in between it, like what type of sand was in the ground and what was, making it difficult for them to do, the type of architecture that they wanted. And then the very tiny side story was H.H. Holmes, which was very small. So I DNF'd it because it just really wasn't what I was looking for. Do you have an autumnal book to transition to the end of the year? Yeah, I did. I read Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney, which is a collection of short stories that are based on the people of the town Autumn Crow. That was very, very good. What new releases am I waiting for in 2020? One new release that I'm definitely looking forward to is True Crime by Samantha Kolinick. I think I don't exactly know what the story is, but the cover is something that just really caught my eye, and I did post that I really, really wanted to read this book, and the author was very sweet, and she's sending me a copy as an ARC, so that will be really cool. It'll be my first one, and I'm just can't wait for it to get here. The mail from the US just takes forever, so I am impatiently waiting. 3 books I want to read by end of year. So obviously the end of the year has passed, and since I'm late on this, I'll just tell you the 3 books I did finish reading. I finished Kill Creek by Scott Thomas, Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach, and The Grip of It by Jacques Jamp. Kill Creek was awesome, and I gave that 5 stars. It was my 1 5-star of the year for a novel. Pen Pal is really creepy, really chilling. I got Pen Pal because I was just seeing it on my Instagram feed like crazy, just popping up. I was really intrigued by the synopsis, which was this person needed to go back to their childhood to understand what happened to them. It's really good. It's really surprising, I think, and
very, very creepy.
And then The Grip of It by Jacques Jamp. That was a very cool psychological horror. It's kind of more about just the degrading relationship of 2 people, not only of their relationship, but also within themselves and with reality and having to deal with that. And it's specifically tied to moving to a new house. So it's really, really interesting. The ending was not very good. I definitely had hope for more. And it seemed kind of just like maybe they just wanted to tidy things up and kind of get out of there. But even though, I still really, really enjoyed reading it up until the ending. Is there a book that can shock you and still be your book of the year? Kill Creek was my book of the year. I guess it did shock me a little bit because I wasn't expecting what it was. I didn't actually think it was going to be supernatural, and I didn't think that was going to be an actual true reality of the story. I thought it was going to be maybe about these writers who come together and spend a few nights in this supposedly haunted house and kind of find like their personal ghosts or something. I don't know what I was really expecting. It just wasn't anything that actually happened, and it was so awesome that it wasn't. So that it did shock me, and it did become my book of the year. Have you made reading plans for 2020? I don't know really if I plan stuff. I just kind of pick up things that catch my eye or I see that I can actually get. I live here in Berlin, so finding English books, it's not impossible. There is bookstores that definitely do have English books, but they don't have all of them, and they especially don't have more of the independent authors and the more obscure titles and stuff like that. So I don't really have plans. I just kind of have to like take what I can get when I find it. So right off the bat, I do want to finish those books that I started reading but just didn't get to. Right now I'm reading Apartment 16 by Adam Neville, which I'm really, really enjoying. There's a lot of ruin porn in there, and it's starting to get kind of surreal and crazy. So I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. I'm really enjoying that so far. I want to get to Cabal by Clive Barker, which I bought a vintage edition from the 1990s. The Reddening by Adam Neville, and The Red Tree, which was recommended by HeyLittleThrifter, which is actually being shipped to me, so I'm going to have that copy pretty soon. In addition to my 2020 plans, I guess I wanted to start taking better notes and just kind of doing better reviews overall. And that's what I plan on doing. But I'm definitely going to aim for that. So those were my answers to the year-end tag, even though I procrastinated. I hope that they are still interesting and useful, and you do find something here that you might want to check out. And if you've read any of the things that I've listed, let me know what you thought about them, and if you have any recommendations for me, let me know. That's all for me. I hope that you have a very great week coming up, and I will talk to you next time.